9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. Liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Roger, Tower.
Welcome to the Alien Probe Podcast. It is Saturday, February 1st, 2025. I'm Doug. This is Matt. Joining us today is Steve Bird. Is it Steve or Steven? Steven. So you're an author, experiencer, poet. You've done it all. Business owner.
Writer. Yeah, you said that.
Why don't you tell us about, how you got into, of course, we have a common theme, of course, with the podcast is that the probe alien, but hopefully you didn't have to go through that. Tell us about your life and how you got into this.
That goes back a long time. When I was a small boy, I used to see ghosts all the time, and I always wondered why. When I got to the age of 15, I got woke up in the middle of the morning at I don't know what time, and I couldn't move, and at the bottom of my bed, this was 1983, so a giant tube, and then there was no wings on it, and it was just flying in the sky, just stopped above us, and then we're basically, I threw her into a bush, and I jumped in after her just to have a look and get out the way, but then it just disappeared. So many other sightings I've had since then. One which I've got a Paranormal Worlds Facebook site page, and the majority of my stuff's on there. But also in my book, I've got photographs of things that I've seen in my book. But I took a video in 2005. It was your quintessential flying saucer, and it was in the direction of Bonnie Bridge, which is obviously Europe's biggest cases of UFOs, and definitely Britain's. And I live right next to that area. So, and it was a daytime video, which is featured in that show Ancient Aliens. So I've been on that as well. So, last year was probably the most interesting time in my UFO experience, because I'm also a spirit medium, so I speak to the dearly departed and pass messages of love across to people that need it. And I also run a church, spiritualist church. And last year we did an investigation. Now I'm part of a group called Strange Phenomena Investigations, which was set up by a chap called Malcolm Robinson, who's wrote 12, 13 books. And we went up to a very old area across the Forth Valley called Ken Papel Hill. It's a Neolithic burial ground, 4,500 years old or so. And at the start of the investigation, I just sat down and I decided I could feel things around the place. So I thought I'll tune in and see what I come up with. And the next thing I knew, I was seeing a silver flying disc with two aliens standing next, or what you would class as aliens standing next to them. They then started, because I work telepathically in mediumship, they then started to speak to me. They gave me some quite amazing details of who they were, why they were here, how long they've been here, what they're here for. I took the picture that I had in my mind, and I drew what they looked like, and so I don't have that to hand, I don't think. But again, that's on one of my Facebook page. But I then went on later on to record an interview with Malcolm Robinson and another witness. I allowed one of the aliens to actually channel me. And so there was about a 30-minute interview. The people that I was with asking me general questions, and I have no idea what I said, because when you channel they're not really your words, if you like. So there's a recorded interview. So last year was quite phenomenal. I channeled an alien, the same process as I would channel a spirit. A few days later, I felt a wee bit, a bit tired, a bit dizzy, a bit not myself. So I meditate. That's part of my training as a medium. And I spoke to my guide, and my guide immediately went for a spirit doctor. As wild, as mad as this sounds, the spirit doctor came to see me in meditation, and he said there is a lot of sludge or slime on your chakras, which are your energy centers. Well, that would explain why I didn't feel too great. So anyway, long story short, I told him what had happened with the aliens, and he said, "Well, you've got a lucky escape." I says, "I didn't. I felt as if they were very peaceful, loving aliens, if you want to know." But he managed to fix me up, and I've spoke to the same aliens twice since then, on various trips around Scotland, because we do a lot of sky watches. So the aliens that I spoke to were from a planet called Agadita. One of them was called Acto. That's the one I spoke to, and the other was called Elias. Now, the planet they came from was a water-based planet. When I saw them, they were actually physically wrapped in a bubble with what seemed to be liquid inside the actual bubble. And then I thought to myself, my chakras are covered in slime, and they're a water-based alien. So that makes total sense. That came out of the blue, when I saw them, that strange shaped heads. They weren't grey, and they were more like an insectoid, sort of big at the top, thin in the middle, and then big at the bottom. So a little bit like a praying mantis, but with a big jowl. But they were very friendly, very loving, and I felt really at home and comfortable with them. They'd been here for 300 years, still are. And one of the things that quite amazed me was, in Bonnybridge, a lot of the sightings, and many people have wrote about these, a lot of the sightings have been white lights. The white lights, they said to me, the majority of them were their craft that's been seen over the last 30, 40 years in Bonnybridge. So difficult to prove these things, guys, but these things do happen. That area is particularly known for, there's been a Bigfoot sighting there. There's been many, many ghosts. I've seen one myself last year there. And with a witness, we both saw this lady. It was a witch that was hung in the 18th century or something like that. There's demonic stuff there as well, and there's aliens. So the reason the aliens have been here is they're trying to help fix the planet, because she's not very well. She's sick. The people, us as people, understand, because we're so far away from what the meaning of life is. We've lost it, because we are an integral part of this planet and the universe, and we've lost it as a species. So they're trying to allow us to, or speak to the right people who are going to allow the world to change, but they're just ignoring them. So it's kind of an impossible job they've got. So basically, that's kind of my life to date on the paranormal. I've seen in my book, I've been an illustrator. I've seen a demon. I was chased by one. I've basically got a fairy in and around the garden where I live. So there's stories about that. There's a lot of things that I've seen. Bigfoot I ain't seen, but having said that, when I was over at Ken Papel, the back of Ken Papel was a place called Ravenscraig. I actually did in my third eye see a big animal which was 2 legs, 12 foot tall, and it was surrounded by what I could only describe as a cross between bears and wolves. I only saw it in my third eye, so physically I didn't see it. But it's the way I see most visions anyway. So that area, that Bigfoot has a name. It's called the Silver Man. So there's quite a lot to be going on. If you want to ask me some questions.
Well, is Bigfoot? I didn't. I've never thought of Bigfoot as being in the UK. Or are you in? Where are you? Are you in the UK or?
I'm in the UK, central Scotland, about 6 or 7 miles from Bonnybridge. So it's basically near Stirling and Falkirk.
I didn't know that.
So I went out.
There's been reports. I
I
mean, not
haven't
as
about Bigfoot, and we just don't hear it.
There's plenty. There's plenty.
Yeah.
I mean, the BFRO came over and Find the Bigfoot team did a program
Yeah.
that didn't do the country justice.
right.
They just spoke about the Green Man and the Old Man of Ben McDooey, or the Grey Man of Ben McDooey, and that's where it stopped. And Loch Ness, obviously, so they didn't really do the program, the country much of a justice, if you like.
Do you think
But there's
that the creature you saw in your third eye? Do you think that was Bigfoot?
It certainly looked big enough. I only saw the outline of the figure. I didn't see any real detail. I saw more detail of the actual animals that were surrounding it. And the thing is, this was about 2 minutes after myself and my friend saw a lady apparition walk through the trees.
Whoa.
And we were coming down the hill. We saw her disappear. She actually spoke to me, gave me all sorts of details. But when I looked at this tree had zero bark on it, and I mean zero bark. And there's like hundreds of trees around it, and there's the only one that had no bark. And I saw it standing up against the tree in my third eye, and it was surrounded by pretty nasty looking animals, 4-leg variety. So it was my friend that said that the Silver Man, as it's called in that area, had been seen there several occasions. So I'm presuming that's what I saw.
Were you in the military over there? Did you do?
No.
And serve in the military?
No. I tried, but it just didn't happen.
Wow. So the aliens. Tell us about more of like what your experience with it was. The praying mantis looking. Is that the only one you saw, or you saw some more? Some other types?
I saw one grey, what you'd class as a grey, when I was 15, and then I've seen these two agnetons. That's the only three I've seen, but three's a lot more than most people. So, and they're totally different. The opinion, the feeling I got when I was 15, and I was a young fella, so I didn't really understand a lot about life. I was just purely mortified. I was scared witless, and it was like, what is going on in my bedroom? You know, I have no idea what happened between seeing and waking up. So I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and say I was abducted and all that carry on, because I've no idea. I haven't got a clue. But I was fully aware, and in my mid 50s when I channeled two aliens, just not more than 6 months ago. So in that I felt at peace. I felt relaxed. I felt safe with those two. They told me that there are many, many different species in and around the planet at any one time, and have been here for many, many hundreds of years, if not thousands in some cases. But that they take a seat back just to observe.
Well, it's quite a show, that we put on, especially here in America. I mean, they're trying to. Jake, I don't know if you heard. Do you pay attention to the UFO news? And we have this helicopter pilot here, Jake Barber. He was interviewed by Russ Cole. Do you know who Russ Coulthart is? Ross Coulthart. Who's a Ross Coulthart?
Yeah.
He's out of the Australia. And
no, I don't know.
Yeah, he's got a video of a helicopter pilot picking up an egg-shaped UFO. But the reason why I mentioned his story is because his was similar to yours. He said, as he approached the UFO, his whole body, it was like something was taking over his body, and he felt like a female presence taking over his body, and he felt it was a good feeling, and it was it was very emotional,
life changing.
Life changing. Is that similar to what the experience you had?
I'm going to say yes. Yeah, I'm going to say that. I felt. Well, I've been a medium for some number of years now, and I've spoke to and channeled probably thousands of spirits, and it felt exactly the same process, same feeling, same everything really, except they were alive and they weren't from here. So it was, but everything else the same. It was the same. So I can show you a still photograph of my UFO from 2005 in my book.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
That is cool.
That's a great
Yeah,
picture.
yeah.
And what year was that? 2012?
2005.
5.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there's a separate? Go ahead. We'll look at that.
Okay.
That's a drawing. Yeah, the
That's
typical.
the tone of my grey when I was 15.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great picture.
Do you feel? You feel
Sorry.
that there's any kind of separation between the spirit world and the UFO experiences people are having, or do you feel there's a connection, or do you?
Well,
Because you've experienced both, maybe you can shed some light on that for us.
there's a connection with everything to everything is the easiest way to say it. Everything in the universe is made from atoms, and those atoms are held together with, I'm going to say it, universal blood called ether. So whatever happens in the here and now, somewhere it will cause an effect. So you can't really separate the alien phenomena, in my opinion, from the spirit phenomena, because mainly both operate on a higher plane. So I would say if an alien species wants to come here, they have to do it in a way that's unknown to our physics. Therefore, the same is the same for working with spirit. It's unknown to our physics how mediums work. So, and obviously you got to remember that aliens are going to have dead aliens as well, aren't they? So there's got to be a connection between all things in the universe. It's finding the connection, understanding it. Can you work with it? Do you want to work with it? Is it going to harm you? Is it going to fulfill you? Is it going to prove anything about your life? There's not really, you can't draw a line between them. You have to draw a line around them.
What do you think happens when you die, Stephen?
I don't think I know. What happens is the same as before you're born. You have to look at things on a basis that your body is carbon and water, and your essential being, your energy, if you like, is your soul, and you have to look at them separately. So when you're born, a soul is dropped into the chemistry of the body, and then when you die, that soul is released from the body and the body dies off. Now, because your soul is pure energy, the first rule in physics will state energy cannot be created or destroyed. That's Newton's first law. So that has to be in place. Has to be into whether or not you can prove this rule. That where lies the problem. We know it is a rule, but how do you get around to actually doing an experiment with it? But I know when you die, your soul passes, draws out your body, and then you go to another place known as spirit world, heaven, nirvana, whatever you want to call it, where you will continue to exist. Everybody that's on this planet is immortal, as far as I'm concerned. We're all immortal. We're just certain parts of our lives are in the earth plane, but most of it's in spirit. I mean, I know I've been here 3 times before, so that's one of the reasons why I know. I've got vague memories of times, but not anything I can recount. But I just know I've been here before. I do work with angels as well, and my guardian angel particularly. So when I work with spirit, if I believe one thing about them, it's that they will never tell a lie. the downside with that is I've asked them all kinds of questions about the universe and aliens and where they come from and why is this and why is that. I won't get answers for that because it's none of my business. It's for us as a humanity, if you like, to find those answers. And I know we've got quite a few, but they're being hidden. There's stuff coming out all the time about the fact that UFOs are real, as you guys know, in the States. That's the place for it. And the release is slow. It's too slow. But that's just the way. That's a control mechanism from the people who run the world, isn't it?
Yeah, the disclosure's crawling. It's like a drip. I don't know if in my lifetime, we're gonna be able to get the disclosure that I'd like to see. But is there, Stephen? Is there a hell? I know you don't know, but I mean, do you think there's a hell?
There isn't a hell, right? As far as I'm concerned, there is, however, the areas in the spirit world where you're gonna have to pay for the bad things that you've done on Earth. So if you've lived a good life, everybody's made mistakes, everybody's done bad things, but generally if you've lived a good life and not harmed anybody greatly, then you'll go to the place where you'll join your relatives and you'll be happy and the sun is shining, the grass is green, the sky's blue. And it's the most divine place because occasionally when you meditate as a medium, you get taken there. And I've seen it. At the same time, I've also seen the place where you turn left. This isn't a jumbo jet now. This is turning left is a bad thing. And this is a place where it's dark, it's cold, it's wet. It's a place where you have to come to terms with what you did. So people who've done really bad things, they would automatically be sent there. Now, when people die, one of the jobs I do is what's called soul rescue. So when people die, sometimes they know they're going to go to a bad place because when you die, you remember that you're a spirit. You know where you came from, so you know, oh God, I better run away. Some spirits don't go through the light and into heaven; they'll basically run away. And one of my jobs is to send them where they should be. And so, on your question to hell, that's why I do that part of the job. It's called soul release. So it's basically putting people back to where they should be.
Seems like we're in hell. The only place to go is up. Sometimes, with all the things that are happening in the world.
Well, there is a quote in the Bible, and this is your hell on earth, and life is tough. Sometimes it's really tough. Sometimes it's unlivable for many people. But it is what it is. It's just you don't have these issues when you're in spirit. There's no time doesn't mean anything. You don't have any illnesses. You don't have any problems to deal with. You live as a different type of entity, which is basically pure energy.
Yeah, and there's we talked to a lot of people about the spirit, not a lot of people, but some people about the spiritual aspect of it. And one of the things is the suffering, and is these things, there's beings that feed on the suffering of humanity, or people individually, and they're frightened or worried, or that there's things that feed off of that. And it was an interesting concept.
Yeah, it's all energy. If you have a bad spirit, and generally speaking, if they're not in an area and they're here, it's very difficult for spirits to live on the earth plane because it's not natural. So if they're still here, they have to find a source of energy to keep moving forward. So they'll either find an area where they can plug themselves into electricity, for want of a better phrase, or they'll find an individual and they'll be drawn to the negativity of that individual. So if someone's sick of everything and just thinks their life sucks, and that's a permanent situation for them, they're going to draw in negative entities, which are spirits. And that's basically something, and the spirit lives off that and gets stronger off that. That happens to a lot of people.
So have you seen any triangular UFOs?
I haven't. I have seen an egg-shaped one, though, and I saw that 2 years ago, just behind my house. But it wasn't a full egg. It was an egg. Again, I've drawn a picture somewhere, but it was an egg with like someone took a bite out of it.
Oh wow!
And I only saw it for a brief 2 or 3 seconds, and as I was driving down the bypass, I went past some trees. I saw it before the trees, and then when I came past the trees, it was gone. But I distinctly saw it.
Do you think the first UFO experience you ever had, do you think it kind of shaped you into who you are now, giving you maybe some kind of insight into what you do now? Do you think it changed you?
I don't think it changed because I always felt that way anyway. That was just confirming the way I felt.
Right.
It's the same as when I seen the first spirit. I just instinctively knew when I looked at it. There was a little boy in my room. I went, "You're not scaring me. That's normal." And I knew I was going to see it. And I suppose it's the same with the UFO. I was going to see my first alien. I went, "No, that was scary because that was a physical entity at the bottom of my bed." But after that, it's like you see this, and then you see that, and then you see the other, and you think it's just normal for me. So it shaped us probably, but I already knew from a very early age that what we were taught, i.e., you die, we're the only ones in the universe. I already knew that was rubbish, and I don't know why I knew that. I can only assume I knew that because I've been here before.
That's amazing. Yeah, I haven't seen any UFOs myself. They say that you need a certain, like you mentioned, the third eye.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody. I mean, are you a musician? Oh, let me ask this. Are you a musician? Do you play any instruments?
No.
He's a poet, though.
No.
He's
You're
an
a
artist.
poet. That poet. Yeah, because there's a
Artist.
theory that musicians, creative people, are more apt to. I consider myself creative, but in different ways. But I don't think I have that. They say only certain. Not everybody gets to see these things. You know, that's why not everybody sees them. You only,
Keep looking up. You'll see it.
Yeah, I keep looking up. I don't see anything. But it doesn't matter. I believe. I just don't. I believe because I have faith in what people tell me.
There are millions and millions of people in this world that have seen both spirits and UFOs. There's probably thousands of people in the world that have seen physical apparitions, demonics, Bigfoot, maybe even millions, and spaceships, for want of a better phrase. All these people can't be wrong. And even if you take 1% out of the millions that have seen that,
it's still
they're probablys.
Yeah.
And possibly definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's because of who I am is why I see these things. It probably is because I'm far more open and I can see and feel things on a higher level than a lot of people. Hence being able to do my mediumship. There's very little that surprises me though, and especially after last year when I channeled those aliens, to me it's just brilliant. It's exciting.
So when you channeled, do you remember anything? What was? I know you don't remember because it came out of you. Did they write down anything of what it said or asked? Do you remember?
Recorded. The questions were recorded. The answers. So I have it on a tape.
Do you remember any of them?
No, it was basically along the lines of we are who we are, and what we're here for, and what the problems we're having to
fix our planet.
To fix.
Yeah.
Yeah. To put in the right direction.
Yeah.
That was basically the crux of it, but it went on for 30 minutes roughly.
Yeah, that's very common. Is that they ask for us to reconsider, to think about nukes and calm down on just to fix our planet. That's very common. That's very common.
I mean, you think about the amount of times that the button has nearly been pressed for nuclear war, and I know of 3 times that I've read of where
You got close.
for whatever reason, all over the world,
Yeah.
a UFO appeared and all the electrics went zzz,
Yep.
and it never happened.
It's more than a few
You
times.
try telling me that there wasn't a reason for that. You
Right.
try telling me that nothing exists out with us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When that's physically recorded, it's happening. You know?
Well,
I mean, one of the best sightings was the one at O'Hare Airport in Chicago. There was tens of people that seen
Yeah.
a UFO.
O'Hara.
above.
Yeah. Like 90s.
that was the one that kind of shot up through the clouds.
Yep.
I think. And
There's a
made
picture of
made
it
a
somewhere,
hole-
but we're not sure.
Made a
if
hole in the clouds.
Yeah.
Actual physical hole.
Yeah, they reported
Phenomenal
it.
sight.
Yeah.
But I actually think they either live here, a lot of these. Maybe it's not so much in this dimension, but in another one, they pass back and forwards. And basically, if they live here, this is their planet. So they're not wanting us to destroying it.
The oceans.
Because if you nuke the planet, that's it. It's finished.
That's right.
It's gone. Done.
The oceans, underground. There's a lot of places we have not explored.
No idea. Right?
It's well, and there's another thing that people think that they phase. Only you need to be able to see, because they phase in and out, the UFOs. You know, that's why you don't just randomly get to see them all the time.
Right.
You know, because they're able to, by the way they travel. I believe that they're from here. I believe they've been here thousands of years. I mean, they probably originally came from somewhere else. But and I think that's why we changed. You know, of course, Americans like leave everything. We changed it to NHI, non-human intelligence, instead of
Aliens,
extraterrestrial.
Grays,
you know, and for some reason they changed the terminology. It's almost as though they didn't want to say they're from another planet. They're from here. There's another theory that the Greys, you know, this is the weirdest of all, that they're actually extraterrestrial, which is actually us from the future, that we have evolved, and they've, you know, from thousands and thousands of years in the future, and they're coming back, and I don't know if they're trying to control anything, or you know, but that's what we ended not ultimately, but at a certain point we ended up looking like. You know, we change all the time. We've changed from, you know, Neanderthal type people to what we are today, and we continue to change. I mean, we're a lot less hairy than we well, except for Matt.
Is that good though? Maybe we need the hair. It's kind of chilly.
Yeah, but you know, there's all kinds of theories. I mean, I like that theory. I don't know if it's the best theory, but it's another. You know, we don't really know, Stephen, what these things are, and it's amazing. I mean, do you have bases? You have secret bases in the UK too. I can't. There was one in particular. I can't remember the name of it, but we're trying to reverse engineering. Do you hear of it? You guys capturing any of these craft and are working on them anywhere?
I don't think so. I think, but I don't know for definite. But I would imagine it's predominantly with the superpowers that do that. I would say Russia's got some, China's got some, and you guys definitely have got some. So I don't think if we found anything right now, I would imagine we'd have to give it up to you guys, such as the relationship between the two countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I thought you guys had some too, but they always mention, you know, China and Russia as other countries that might have these things that are trying to reverse engineer and to develop themselves, and that actually have craft. I mean, there's another theory that some of these craft are actually craft that, you know, we've captured and we are able to actually fly ourselves. I don't know about that though, because I don't think we have. I just don't think we're advanced enough to be able to figure out how to deal with these things. We like to think that we're really smart and that we can. Yeah, and we're definitely, you know, progressing, but I don't think we have it right now. You know, what do you think? What do you think, Matt?
I think. Therefore, I am.
I just think there's that many of them around. I think some of them have crashed. I think some nations are reverse engineering. That's what I think.
Yeah. I agree.
And that's a general thought I had from when I was channeling with the aliens last year. They said that there are many different species from all parts of the galaxy of alien types that were here, and there's no chance that we haven't got something, because if they're there, the people in charge, they know about it, so there must be some kind of deal to keep them secret.
Yeah.
So the first thing you would do is you give technology. They say, right, we're here, we're going to do X, Y, and Z,
Abduction.
but I need you to give me as a result, we need to have this from you. I mean, you just look at the technology that's come out in the last. Well, even just look back to
Less than
the
100
Wright
years.
brothers in 1903
Yeah.
and Kitty Hawk.
Yep.
A Baltimore hurricane, and 70 years later they're on the moon. For example, that's an awfully short space of time.
Very short.
Yeah, and since Roswell in our country,
And then
it seems that's where it started.
There's heard of us trading their technology for them to willfully abduct people. Was that the?
Well, there's the strangest of that they eat by some. They actually don't eat people like we do cows or anything, but they make a solution, and they don't really eat in the sense that we do, and they make a solution out of the. I mean, this is weird, but that's what I heard. They have they mix it up, and they actually put it on outside their body, and it's absorbed with. I mean, it's the craziest of crazy, and I hope that's not really happening. But we have a lot of people that go missing. I don't know about you guys, but we have thousands of people that go missing. We have
every year
200,000 a year, and 1% of those don't ever get found. And with the technology we have these days, there's no reason for that many people to be able to disappear. You're too many ways of tracking people anymore. You can't do anything without being found.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I mean, I suppose it depends on the area you're in. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a technical expert or anything like that, but I do imagine that some abductions have been going on for at least 50, 60 years anyway. Maybe even 100, maybe more. I mean, if these guys over the valley from me have been at 300 years, why has there not been people been abducted 300 years ago? I mean, they landed here roughly when the Industrial Revolution started in Britain. So that's a long time to be here, and they've been here since then.
Yeah.
So
were
they first here?
Seems like they've been here for a long time, but since we went into the nuclear age, and I think is when they started making themselves
present.
Seen, yeah. And
they were before, but a lot more.
But they're, they've disabled our, some of our, a whole aircraft carrier they shut down for 20 minutes or something, almost as though to say, hey, you know what we can do, so quit screwing around. Really, I don't know. We don't need
Flex.
to be. Yeah. We don't need to. You don't need to be doing this. They shut down an entire, nuke in the silo. Or a series of them, they shut those down, as if to say, stop the madness. I mean, what's the purpose of having these things? Once somebody launches the first one, it's over. So why has anybody we know why it's a political thing, but it's strange. We should just be able to see, let's just, we're going to have nuclear control and we're going to limit nuclear assets, but we got to have some just in case, right?
Just in case.
Just so we can say you don't have all of them.
Mutually assured destruction. That's why we all have them.
There's nothing good that's going to come of this. So, and that's what I think they're saying. It's you guys are going to ruin this planet. I mean, look what I don't know how you feel about the war in Ukraine, but I don't know what Putin's really trying to accomplish, but he's wiping out the whole country. It's out of since Israel came about, we hardly hear anything. I don't know about you guys, but we hardly hear anything about Ukraine. I don't see anything anymore. I don't know what's going on over there. So
they're just killing off themselves, both of them.
I try to not watch the news too often because I just see pain.
Yeah, it's just gore.
As an empath, it's just not very healthy for me, and I can't change anything or fix anything, so I don't really want to look at it. I do have a relative who is Ukrainian, and it's really sad, but there's not really anything I can do, so I try not to watch it.
Yeah. Question: you have a book, right?
Yeah, that was your book. Yeah, he shows the book.
Yeah, are you looking to publish that book? Can we see a picture? See that book?
Yeah, I think you.
Oh, there we go. We didn't get that on video.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
Is that your? I'm sorry, Steve. Was that your only book, or you got another one coming out?
That's the only one so far. But I do have enough stories for at least a third of a new book. And with me being part of this paranormal society in Scotland, we do investigations in haunted places, and we do sky watches, and we do all sorts of weird and wonderful things, and it keeps the knowledge base growing, and the stories that come from those adventures, for want of a better phrase, I always write them down, so they make good reading. So
Is it available on Amazon? Is it new?
it's not published yet. It was meant to be published tomorrow, but the publish fell through they just fell through. I won't go into detail.
So you're looking
but I do
for.
have another publish.
Oh, you do. Okay.
What's the organization called that you guys do all the investigations and all? Is there a certain organization?
Strange Phenomena Investigations. It's the oldest paranormal society in Britain, or UK, Scotland. It's either Scotland or Britain, one of the two. It was created in 1979.
Do they have chapters all over the country, or is there only a certain amount?
There's not too many. There's 2 or 3 across the country. It's going under it's being reformed or restructured as we speak. It's a chap called Malcolm Robinson who started it back in 1979. It was in response to the Declan Woods incident, which is where in 1979 a UFO came down, and there was sort of objects that looked like World War II mines came out of this craft and assaulted a forest worker.
What? I've
Oh,
never heard
wow.
of that.
It was the only UFO case that was physically investigated by the police and forensics, and it's just an incredible case.
What was the name of the woods?
Decmont, Dechmont,
Okay.
Decmont.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, we've got.
Bob Taylor. The forestry worker was called Bob Taylor, 1979. It was.
It's been the date.
I found it. Boom.
The Robert Taylor
Wow.
incident.
1979, November 9th. Wow,
Oh,
I've never heard of that. I'm going to have to look that one
Very
up.
famous.
Oh.
It's
We-
often the one in Norfolk, in the American base. Can't remember what it's called now.
Rendlesham.
Rendlesham Forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between Rendlesham Forest and Declan Woods, they're the 2 most famous cases in Britain.
And you said you're close to Bonnie Bridge, huh?
I am not far away at all.
Not too far from it,
Wow.
yeah.
In fact, that night that we did that investigation that channeled the aliens, took a photograph across the valley back towards my house, because I live on the other side of the valley. And if I blow the photograph up, we actually do see a very bright white light, which I've got a photograph of them here. And it was over Bonnie Bridge. So that day we actually saw what you could class as a UFO.
Oh,
Whilst-
nice. Whoa.
And where I live, I look right across the valley, and we've lived here for about 3 years, me and my wife, and we've seen round about 5 or 6 of the same white lights in 3 years, just sitting in the lounge in the sunroom. They're quite regular.
Oh, wow.
Your organization mixes supernatural incident or supernatural circumstances with UFOs, and it's everything,
Yeah.
right? And it's interesting because we have you've heard of MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network here.
Oh, there's a light.
Oh, nice.
There it is.
It almost looks like an orb.
It could be an orb.
Yeah.
That's, if you can, that's actually I don't know if you can see the one on that page. But
Yeah, I
that's the
can
one
see it.
before I
It-
blew
Yeah.
up.
Yep,
Can
it's
you
a
see
little. Yep, it's off to the left a little bit on the bottom corner. Yeah, you can
That's
see
the
it.
original. And then I blew it up to that. So that's what we see from the sunroom window regularly.
Wow.
That's the first UFO I saw. That's the first UFO I saw back in 1994.
Oh, wow.
It was a very large cylinder.
Right.
It was in excess of 100 foot long.
Oh, wow.
And it had those portholes in the side of it?
It was lights. It wasn't portals. It was
Oh, it
lights.
was lights. Okay, okay. What?
Me and my wife saw that, and it was literally just maybe 100 foot above our heads.
How long did it sit
Literally
there?
above.
That's amazing.
Maybe 30 seconds.
And then it was
We didn't have to check our watches before and after.
right.
Because in them days I knew nothing about the force. But we could have lost a bit of time. We just don't know it.
Oh,
We reckon it was about 20 and 30 seconds, but it was just gone in a blink of an eye, away.
do you believe in
It was quite-
hypnotherapy to figure out if maybe you lost time?
I do believe it, but I don't trust a lot of people. So, I do believe it, but it's the trust element. My mind's quite important to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem doing it if it was the right person doing it.
Right.
Because there's other questions I want to ask about my reincarnation as well.
Yeah.
So I would like to go back to my previous lives as well. So
Doug's gonna be doing it.
Yeah, well, I had a friend at work that I had witnessed. It was the weirdest thing I've ever witnessed. And he had four
Sessions?
past lives that he talked about. Two of them were incidents that he was abducted by aliens, and he talked about it while he was regressed with the hypnotherapist. We have a real good one over here. It was the strangest. I mean, having him describe it, he said he was in this, like an egg shape. I don't think he was egg. I think it was a craft.
Yeah.
And it was on an island, and it went from the island down into the water. And underwater, the entire craft was like everything was clear. It was in the, you could see the fish, you could see, all the plants in the underwater. There was no bulkheads. There was, you just see, it was like everything was a window. And, they had him on the table, the usual, but he's still strapped to a table. And he didn't mention they did anything strange to him or anything. But, the other one was very similar where he was taken aboard the ship, but one of the I'll call them extraterrestrials, was performing some kind of surgery on him or something. And I don't know, I don't know what to think. You could take that as any kind of experience.
It's kind of cool.
So it is cool, but it's.
I have a friend who does very strange things, and she does communicate with aliens in a slightly different way. But she does past life regressions, and I can't remember the specific science that she works with or topic that she works with. But I am tempted to speak to her about it. The problem I've got is if she starts with it, there's a lot going on in her life. It might get a bit messy.
Once you open it up, yep.
It may get a bit messy. And I'm quite happy with just knowing what I know. And I can't prove a lot of it. I can prove my mediumship because I'm delivering specific evidence to people, and I'm not a mind reader, so I can prove that. I can sort of prove what I've seen because I've got evidence of video and things like that. That you know what? No one's going to believe. Not everybody's going to believe everything, until there's a body, for want of a better phrase. And even then, some people, if a fire engine if a spaceship landed on a lawn, some people would be adamant it was a fire engine. So it's kind of, is it impossible? It's not impossible, but it's a very difficult thing to get science to open their eyes. And then when they do open their eyes, somebody tells them to shut them.
Yeah.
It's one thing I wanted to mention is you've heard of MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. Do you have MUFON over there too? I think they're all over the world.
Yeah.
think it's Buffon over here.
Oh, okay.
British.
BUFO on.
Buffon.
Yeah, Buffon.
They discourage talking about anything but UFO related matters. We don't talk about ghosts. I mean, we go to the meetings, and you're not supposed to talk about Bigfoot or, paranormal ghosts or anything like that. They don't want them mixed, and that's the problem I have with that. Is I think all of it's related in some manner.
It is.
I agree.
It is.
You know.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
I am actually quite keen on the idea that Bigfoot's actually an alien.
Yeah,
I'm quite keen on that.
I like that theory. I like that theory. Yeah.
Like Chewbacca.
I think it's the opposite. I think we're the aliens, and Bigfoot's supposed to live here because he can without a dwelling. So I think we're the aliens.
Why you got to muddy the water, man?
Sorry, I'm just saying.
No, I'll take that further. I think we are aliens and Bigfoot's aliens. Because I don't think we're from here either.
I agree.
So,
That's a great theory, though, that we're the aliens.
Yeah, because we need to we're cold and no fur, and, Bigfoot lives perfectly over here. We don't.
He doesn't need clothes.
If we came from monkeys, how come monkeys are still here?
Exactly. And why aren't they us yet? Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. The man's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, at what point? I mean, they're disproving history on a daily basis, but none of the propeller heads in the universities are ever going to change the history books. You can't change what's already written.
Yeah.
Oh,
shoot. Is that me?
That you?
Probably.
See how you are.
We last year, in our area, Stirling Council and the archaeology department has found a 1st century Roman road in our area where there hadn't thought to have been one until the 3rd century.
Wow.
So,
whoa.
One of my spirit guides was a Roman soldier in the 1st century, and he helped build it. But at the time, I couldn't tell anyone. I still can't now because they'll lock me up. But my actually built the bloody road, right? And they've now found it. But history's getting turned on its head as we speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just takes so long.
That's insane. That's great.
Well, Stephen, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Unless you have anything else you want to talk about. It looks like we've got a good overview. We've got your book. You get that thing published, make sure you...
If there's publishers out there, he's looking for one.
Send me an email or text me or hit me up on Facebook or whatever. And let me know it's published so I can get a copy.
And we can have him back on for the book.
Yeah, and then we'll have you back on after we read it so we can discuss some of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of twists and turns in that. A lot of twists and turns in that book. So
I hope we get it published.
It'll blow your
I
head
hope
off.
you do.
Yeah, I want to read it. I'll buy it.
It will get published. So.
All right. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Alien Probe Podcast. Welcome comments, questions, or requests to alienprobepodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook. Check out our website, alienprobe.net, Twitter and Instagram at alienprobepod. Like and subscribe at YouTube and Rumble at Alien Probe Podcast. Stephen Bird, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you on.
Nice to meet you.
And hope to have you on again, sir. Have a good weekend.